Forgiveness and freedom are the main themes of The Tempest by William Shakespeare. The Tempest belongs to the group of plays known as dramatic romances. Such plays are Cymbeline, Pericles, and The Winter's Tale. After Shakespeare has worked on the tragedies which depict the welter of passions, lust, ambition, avarice, etc., and the demonic forces of fate and accident, hurling man to his doom, a change comes over him. He feels the human life is not only full of hatred, treachery, lust, pride, and ambition, but also full of love, kindness, innocence, and forgiveness. Besides, evil feelings cannot be willed away, but it can certainly be won by love, kindness, and forgiveness. Besides, evil feelings cannot be willed away. It is the conception that Shakespeare repeatedly exemplifies in his latter plays. The romances strike the notes of peace, love, goodwill, forgiveness, and reconciliation. But there is variation of one theme in these plays. In fact, the theme is the putting right of the wrong that is done, an act of reparation and restoration. In the Cymbeline, Imogen is wronged by her Hermione. In the Winter's Tale, Queen Hermione is wronged by the king. In the Tempest, Prospero is wronged by his brother. Prospero was the Duke of Milan. He was given to secret studies. He entrusted the administration of the dukedom to his brother Antonio. He loved him most, but his brother grew ambitious. He conspired with the king of Naples, Alonso, and banished him from the dukedom. Prospero, with the little child, was kept on a rotten boat. He reached an enchanted island. There he could set himself by means of his magic. He mastered the spirits of the air and water. He began to live happily in the company of his daughter Miranda. Once he found that Alonso, with his companion, and Antonio, the brother of Prospero, was passing by the side of the island. He raised a storm by means of his spirit, Ariel, and wrecked his ship. He scattered Alonso and his companions on the island. He punishes them and tortures them almost to madness by producing unearthly sounds in the air, by creating lightning flashes and producing thunderstorm. He creates all sorts of frightful things in order to rob Alonso, Sebastian, and Antonio and others of their wits. Prospero says, "With their high wrongs I am struck to the quick, but he does not want to kill them. Even at the time of raising the storm, he takes care that not even a hair betide to any creature in the vessel. He brings them under his control and says, 'At this hour lies at the mercy all mine enemies.' He frightens them by supernatural terror and makes them repentant for their mistakes. Ariel tells them that the only way to get rid of Prospero's wrath in nothing but hurt, sorrow, and a clear life ensuing. Prospero finds them repenting and says, they being penitent, the sole drift of my purpose, not a frown further. He feels that repentance washes our guilt and makes us pure. That is why he does not want to punish them anymore, as he believes the rare action is in virtue than in vengeance. He forgives Alonso and his companions. He forgives even his brother and says, unnatural thou art, I do not forgive them. He forgives even Caliban, who plotted with Trinculo and Stefano to take his life. We find that even Caliban repents for his mistake and says, I will be wise hereafter and seek for grace. Forget and forgive is the golden principle of life. This is the only way to win the heart of enemies and establish lasting peace. Bernard Shaw has also celebrated this idea in Caesar and Cleopatra and said, murder begets murder. So, murderer should be treated with forgiveness. Then only we can establish lasting peace in the world. Forgiveness blesses the giver as well as the receiver, but Prospero works on the principle of first repentance, then forgiveness. We find that all the enemies have been reconciled. Gonzalo says, in one voyage did Claribel her husband found, and Ferdinand found a wife, Prospero his dukedom, and all of us ourselves. Another prominent idea of the Tempest is freedom. The most poignant craving for freedom is illustrated in Ariel. Freedom seems to be the very breath of his life. When Prospero asks Ariel to perform one more task, Ariel says, is there any more toil? Let me remember thee what thou art promised my liberty. But Prospero points out to the Ariel that the true condition of freedom is service. Prospero's promise of freedom is his chief inducement to execute all his commands. Ariel earns his freedom after he has performed all the tasks that Prospero sets him, and Ariel goes mad with the idea of freedom and says, where the bee sucks, where suck I? Merrily, merrily shall I live now under the blossom that hangs on the wharf. Caliban too craves for freedom. He says, this as well is mine by Sycorax, my mother, which thou takest from me. But he does not understand the true spirit of freedom. He finds all service irksome. He reacts violently against Prospero. His idea of freedom is a change of masters. He will be satisfied if he has not to serve Prospero anymore. How a new master gets a new man freedom, hede freedom. He does not want freedom through service, but through murder. Here lies a contrast between Ariel and Caliban. Ariel takes service as a key to freedom, and that is why he gladly performs all his tasks given by Prospero. But Caliban regards service as slavery, and so he grudges to serve Prospero. Both Ferdinand and Miranda, like Ariel, fully appreciate the spirit of service, and that is why Ferdinand says to Miranda, "The very instant that I saw you did my heart fly to your service." Miranda also speaks to Ferdinand in the same strain. "I am your wife, and if you will marry me, if not, I will die your maid. I will be your servant." Ferdinand accepts the task of wearing locks as service for the sake of love. He says, "The mistress which I serve makes my lover pleasure." He wins her love by means of service. Prospero says, "As my gift and thine own acquisition worthy purchased, take my daughter." Miranda says, "If you will sit down, I will bear your locks the while." "Pray give me that." The thought which seems to run through the whole of the Tempest is the thought that true freedom of man consists in service. At the end of the play, we find that Prospero sets Ariel and Caliban free, even the three men of sins who were kept as prisoners by Ariel, and they cannot budge till release, are set free by Prospero. Gonzalo says, "We have got ourselves." In the epilogue, Prospero petitions the spectators of the theatre for the two things, pardon and freedom. Thus, we find that forgiveness and freedom are the keynotes of the play. Thank you. Please share and subscribe if you have not subscribed my channel earlier.